I call Senator Babet.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Now, the days of blaming the war in Ukraine for inflation are over, or at least they should be. Now, while I will admit that the war in Ukraine has had some ripple effects, it was never true that the overseas events were the major cause of this Labor government's economic woes. In fact, our government is the main architect of our nation's problems. Now, they shouldn't take all the blame to my left here on this side of the chamber. The Libs had a part to do with that as well. We all know that. But the Labor government is in charge now and they should be doing more. Now, the government spends taxpayer money like it's endless, like it's free, like the debt never needs to be repaid. Well, guess what? It has to be repaid with interest. Australia's inflation problem is homegrown. Much of the problem is created right here in our nation's capital, in Canberra. Now, since the government clearly doesn't have a plan, allow me to make some simple suggestions that would immediately help to ease inflationary pressure. Now, the government could begin by doing this. Abandon net zero. It is a fetish. That's what it is. A fetish that has resulted in record high power prices. This one policy decision would immediately lower prices right across the economy. Here's another idea. Slash the migration intake. Record immigration is making our housing crisis worse, increasing prices and increasing homelessness. It's pretty basic. Now, I understand that net zero is an ideological tick that the government cannot shake, and it's also a way to fudge the books and make the numbers look better. So I'll make a third suggestion. Why doesn't Treasurer Chalmers cut taxes, reduce levies and cut duties? He could start by doing this. How about this? Cut the fuel excise. How's about that one? If you cut the transportation costs, cut the costs, you immediately provide price relief on almost everything. We all know that. That's pretty simple stuff. Now, I know what you're thinking. Since when? Since when does a Labor government let its citizens keep more of their money? Since when? So I'll make one more suggestion. If the government wants to get inflation under control, it should ruthlessly cut red, green and black tape while deregulating as much of the economy as possible. If it did that, productivity and competition would improve and inflationary pressures would ease for the long term. There you go, in 3 minutes or so. I've got 4 points to address inflation, which is more than what Treasurer Chalmers has done in 18 months as far as I can tell. But I'm guessing that the government will not take up any of my suggestions, not because it hasn't thought of them, of course it has, but because this government is more committed to climate ideology, to taxation, to bureaucracy and to mass immigration, rather than being committed to helping struggling Australian families.
Thank you, Senator.